Hair Tutorial Part 1. Today we're going to talk about making a wig for stop-motion puppets using an advanced fiber hair technique. We want the hair to be animatable, so we create these stiff fiber bundles. Then we cut and glue these tiny hair ribbons to a wire. This is then snugly glued in with epoxy into the head. And then you get these animatable ponytails. This is the final head on the left, and this is what you call a buck head on the right. And that's what we'll be using to create a wig cap in Hair Tutorial Part 2. I used wool roving because it's what I had lying around. Best material is alpaca wool, pre-dyed to your character's hair color, but you can also dye your hair yourself, which we'll be taking a look at later on. You just tear a chunk off and then tear that chunk into smaller bits. This is an example of a finished bundle that we're making. You can see that all the fibers move as one because of the specialized flexible glue I've applied. I used a Copic marker to dye my hair after the glue was adhered, but it was a teacher error moment, and this is what it ended up looking like. It's pretty wonky, and the dye didn't fully encase the hair fibers. I'm going to move forward with this tutorial as is with undyed hair, just to show you the technical aspect of making hair ribbons. I'm going to ask my friend who is an expert in puppet hair to see what I did wrong, and I will go over that in a separate tutorial. This challenge is all the more reason to get pre-dyed hair of the color you want to use. Once you get your hair bundle into a small chunk like this, you take an eyelash comb, the metal tooth side of it, and you comb out the excess detritus of the hair. You do this because you basically want it to be one long piece, with every fiber the same length of the overall bundle. So you do that with several pieces and use a hair straightener to straighten your hair. Basically, when you're making the hair ribbons, you want the fibers to be as flat as possible, so when you stick them down to your plexiglass for adhering the glue, you're getting a really even surface. If it's bumpy, it's just going to make the glue lumpy in some spots and thin in others, and you want it to be all over cohesive. Here's a close-up view of using a flat iron. If you've never used a flat iron before, it's pretty easy. Just run the hair fibers gently through the hardware. Don't mash it down too hard or your fibers will dislodge from one another. So I'm going to show you an up-close view of a flat piece and a piece that hasn't been straightened yet. You can see how straight the one on the right is, and that's how you want your surface to be, very flat. So I'm just going to call this plexiglass. It basically functions as such. It's just foam core with clear packing tape covering it. You're going to want to get some water and then your special glue mixture, which is part water, part Got2b glue, and part high tack. Shake it up before you use because the materials can separate if it's been sitting for a while. So this is high tack. It comes from England. And this is Aleene's tacky glue, and you don't want to mix them up. Only use high tack for this. This has Got2b glue hair gel. Basically, what we're using is just a mixture of these materials to make this specialized hair glue mixture. So you take a little bit of water and you put it on your plexiglass. This basically just tacks your hair bundle down so they don't pull up when you're putting the glue on. Don't put too much on. You don't want to soak it. You just want it to stay down. Just to speak to the specialized hair glue that we use, that mixture, you basically want to get an adhesive that dries, and when it animates, it doesn't crack and get flaky. And that's a good mixture that doesn't do that, and it also doesn't become opaque. Now that everything's tacked down, you just put some of this glue onto your fingers and tap it onto your hair fibers. You want to get a good even coat. You want it to be thin. You don't want it to get thick and chunky. Spend time flattening everything out. You'll notice with my hair bundle, I'm spending time thinning it out so that it's not thick horizontally. I'm just bundling it to be a little bit tighter so there's no thin spots when we pull it up. Moving on, you do this with all of your hair bundles, and this is just the beginning of it. You'll be making several bundles to get all the hair ribbons you need for a wig. This glue is mostly water-based, so it's sticky, but it doesn't get stuck to your hands. Let it air dry. You can also take a hair dryer to it, but I think it's easier to just let it dry. Once it's ready, you pull it up and you've got a hair bundle. It's really satisfying to pull these up. We're going to cut those hair bundles down into hair ribbons. This right here is a single hair ribbon. So I go ahead and flatten the bundle once again. Since there's glue on it, you don't want to keep the flat iron on there too long. Then you cut the ends, blunting them off. I'm cutting my bundle in half. Then you trim the sides so that you get a uniform tendril. And then the other side as well. Throw away the detritus on the table. And cut the piece down the middle to make 2 pieces. You're basically making small pieces like this until you make enough to fill your entire wig. The length of your hair ribbons will be determined by your character design, of course. I've made shorter pieces for this demo. That is the technical aspect of making hair ribbons that are animatable for stop motion animation.